like that food, dog. Get some feedback.
What you need? Need something? You okay? No, I'll say you need something, okay?
Yeah, I can use it. I was gonna plug it in.
Okay. Look at me right there. Take the white one out.
It's all right to take this one out? You said right here?
It should be okay. Let me see it. It should be charged up. No.
Okay.
Here you go. Hold on for a second. Let me see it. There you go. You pull it reach?
Yeah.
Get us feedback, man.
Can I use that stand right there? That little stand?
Here are the 2 different ways you can find me. One way to talk to me.
That's how he created work. That's how he worked. Good evening, 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 good evening. This is Joaquin Thompson with the Daily Bread Radio Show, coming to you live from Snellville. I was going to say Atlanta, but I'm not going to say Atlanta, man. Coming to you live from Metro Atlanta.
Yeah.
Metropolitan Atlanta. And we're super excited for tonight's show because we have a very special guest in the studio with us tonight. We have the CEO and president of Black on Purpose Television, Mr. Michael Campbell, and we really, really appreciate him being in the building. Mr. Campbell, we want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, for those of you all that are joining the Daily Bread Radio Show for the first time, then what we're doing is the Daily Bread Radio Show is a show based on personal finance, but at the same time, we always like to have a spiritual foundation. So hence the name Daily Bread, because Daily Bread came from a term. It was 2 things. One, it was a devotional back in the 70s and 80s that a lot of our grandparents used to read. It was called the Daily Bread. But also back in the 70s, one of the slang terms for money was bread. Hence the Daily Bread Radio Show. So we talk about everything related to personal finance, from bankruptcies, to repos, to how to balance a checkbook, to credit, to interest, to making money, starting businesses, how to get out of debt, debt elimination. We talk about ways that you can grow your money, things that you could do in order to create an effective budget, and also looking at your legacy. Because one of the things that we talk about all the time on this show is looking at ways that we can plant seeds in this generation, but then those seeds will bear fruit for the next generation and the next generation and the next generation. So that's really what we do here on the Daily Bread Radio Show. We're here every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. on DKMradio.com. We're also on FacebookLive.com. And if you missed the live broadcast, you can always catch us on YouTube.com as well, the Daily Bread Radio Show. The call-in number to the studio, 678-381-1973, 678-381-1973. And Mr. Campbell, I'm going to give you some time. I want you to, share with us a little bit about your background. I've read your bio. I have some questions for you. We're going to do some dialogue. And the good thing about this platform, because I did some research and looked at some of your feedback that you have out on Black on Purpose TV, and I feel the same way about this platform. So even though we're in a studio and it's you and I and the producer, but the fact that we have the ability to produce content, effective content for African Americans, specifically for African Americans, and to use your phrase unapologetically, we're creating this for African Americans because we feel like, okay, we got a caller. Caller, you on with Joaquin Thompson, the Daily Bread Radio Show. What's your name and where you calling from?
I'm Cornbread. I'm calling from ATL, heading into Snellville.
What's happening, Cornbread?
I had to pack my bags, but I had to come through and bless the show.
Hey, that's what's up. Hey, well, we got the audience waiting for you, and we got security at the door. So once you get to the door, you can check in with security and you can come right in.
No problem, man. I'll be there in a minute.
Okay, appreciate you.
Cool.
All right. So, again, Mr. Cameron, you can go ahead and introduce yourself, talk about, Black on Purpose TV, what it's about, where it came from, your vision, because I think you have a very strong vision. And I think it's something that we need to do a better job of just spreading the word. Because one of the things that I did notice is a lot of the content that you have out there is very, very powerful. And it's very, very timely. And I think it's one of those things where it's like having something good, but then only a few people know about it. So I think it's up to us to really work collectively to get the word out, let people know what's going on, and then also be participatory. Either we're going to be a viewer, or we're going to be an advertiser, or we're going to be, to your point, a content creator
Yes.
for that platform. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me, and it's content creators like you that deliver information, that deliver a message that's very much about what the television network is about. So, we can't wait any long for others to get our image right. We have to do ourselves, and we have to get that out. So what happens is, people have seen us in a way they want to see us, and they create their own image of who we are. And it's time for us to change that. So, because it affects not only how others view us, but over time how we view ourselves.
Correct.
And that has had a real toxifying effect on our children, on ourselves, on our children, and on their children. And it has to stop. So we can no longer continue this kind of method of allowing them to tell our stories. Right? It's time for us to do something about it. It takes a little more work, yes, but it keeps us out of hope mode. And I talk a lot about the hope mode. The hope mode is something we've been in for a long, long time.
Okay.
As far as you want to go back from whether it's slave ships, whether it's plantations, any particular time in history, we've been in this hope mode.
Okay.
And particularly with the political climate that we have and with the boldness that others are showing for us, we've got to pick this up and we've got to create new Black Wall Streets once again. We've got to create our own economy. We have to do our own thing now because it's very, very important. So what I've done is I've created this television network in order to show positive images of people of color without negative stereotypes. So it is like Netflix, only blacker. Okay? So what the network has is, instead of being one channel like Netflix that shows just a few movies by people of color, we have over 5,000 shows that you can watch. It becomes an archive and a treasure trove of the things that we've accomplished. It's never, our body of work has never been assembled in one place really that you can say, here's an example of who we are as Black people in one box that I could show somebody. Because really, if we kind of came from another planet and came to Earth and cut on the TV set, I challenge you, do what I call the white test. Sit in front of your TV and start from the lowest channel, and every time you see a white image, say the word white. And you'll say it so much it'll shine your teeth by the time you get to the end. All right? So we have to come together and create our own content, create our own place to see it, because even if there were 100 great Black movies created, and there's more than that every year that's created.
Correct.
The industry is not going to take that much Black. They're not going to take all 100 movies.
Right.
They're only let's say, for example, they take 10 for the year. Then that means there's 90 pieces of content that won't get taken. Right?
Right.
So, and the problem is on current TV, and I kind of give this visualization. So let's say we have one TV and that on the left, and that's playing everything you currently see on TV. And then you have one TV on the right that's blank, just a blank slate with nothing on it. Everybody's trying to get on. Everybody's trying to create either a reality show or whatever they're trying to do. The problem is there's only about 3 seats at the table, right?
Okay.
And the problem with the 3 seats at the table,
All right, excuse me, Mike. I think we got a call on there. Caller.
sorry.
You're on with the Daily Bread Radio Show. This is Joaquin Thompson. What's your name and where you calling from?
Yeah, cornbread's at the front door and security need to let the cornbread in.
All right, well, let me send security out.
Okay, cool.
All right. Go ahead. Mr.
okay.
Okay.
So what happens is you have everybody's trying to get on. There's about 3 seats at the table, right? And the problem with that table is the line is from here to China.
Right.
And so there's only 3 seats. And I think, again, a lot of us stay in this mode of what they call the hope mode, hoping that they're going to get on. But the fact is there's only so much room.
Okay.
So rather than, and when black television networks start, they do the same model. They launch, and then there's Jefferson's, Good Times, Martin,
Right.
Living Single. It's the same model with maybe a few original programs. But it's content creators like you that deliver information that need to develop and grow along with us on a bigger platform that we can all embrace the people and deliver real and true information.
Okay.
Because with them taking over the other channels, we don't have anyone to positively and accurately deliver what's going on in our communities and within our world. So the television network currently is seen around the world, and so the goal is to get people in Brooklyn to know what people in Snellville is doing, for people in Snellville to know what's going on in South Africa,
Right.
etc., so that we can constantly deliver that message to each other. One of the key things is that when they control the delivery and our message, then they control everything. We talk a lot about Atlanta being Black Hollywood. It is not. When you go to any film set in Atlanta, you see not a lot of us being represented,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So the largest employer of the film industry in Atlanta is as the police department gets more work than anyone else for guarding and watching and doing whatever they're doing to protect the equipment and the people on the set.
Okay.
But as far as technical roles, right, they say that, oh, well, we're not ready yet. And they did that same stuff with the contractors here, for general contractors and builders. They said, oh, there's no qualified contractors. Now there's no qualified filmmakers. They were making films, music videos in Atlanta way before Hollywood came here.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because especially when you start going back and you start looking at people like the Dungeon Family, and from a music standpoint, you go back and look at their documentaries and what I know L.A. Reid and LaFace was doing one thing, but just from a grassroots standpoint, when you look at say like the Dungeon Family, Rico Wade, I mean the stuff that they were doing,
Right.
it was grassroots. I mean, and they were doing it themselves, and that was before we had cell phones and stuff like that, but they were just taking out, cameras and doing their own video, and then taking it up to LaFace and letting LaFace clean it up, or make it where it's the packaging is better or more palatable for people outside of Atlanta. But they were already doing that, so it's a lot of, to your point, it's a lot of talent here, but then it becomes, the way I've always looked at it is this: I think we have to be more in a position of controlling the entity. Because whoever controls the entity, they get to choose who's the technical person, who's going to be the camera person, who's going to get the contract, who's going to be the star, role. And to your earlier point, when you saying like, if we have 100 projects and 10 of them get green lighted on the shows on the left, and I heard you speak about, let's say, Chandra Rhimes. Okay, so she's doing her thing, but what about the next? What about the next Chandra Rhimes?
There's probably 100 people that's more talented than her.
Woo!
I'm just saying.
What? Mr. Campbell, hey, y'all got to give us a call up in here, 678-381-1973.
I'm just keeping it real.
Hey, that's a good thing, because we don't know. I mean, because we only know what we hear like Thursday night is, is Chandra's night, and I support, because I'm like, she doing her thing, she young, she hustling. Much love to her, but to your point, I know it's a lot of people out there doing their thing, because, some of the conversations that I have with my producer is this. It's one thing to be it's one thing to have a podcast, right? And this is something, next week I'll be celebrating 1 year of doing this in this space.
Okay.
So one of the ongoing jokes with me and my show is you know, when I run into people, I don't say I'm doing a podcast.
Right.
When I introduce myself to people that don't know me, I say, hey, I got a radio show
Sure.
that I do on the internet.
Right.
That's how I introduce myself. So
Sure.
people, one of the ongoing jokes is like, okay, you on AM and FM. Then, you know, people trying to shoot you down. You on AM and FM. I'm like, no, I'm on the internet, but that's a podcast. I'm like, no, this is not a podcast, because when you look at the lineup and the platform that Raheem has built, I mean, he got shows that come on in the morning. You got the Morning Glow. You have me on Thursdays. You have Real Men Being Men. You have, you know, Minister Howard on Fridays. You have the teens on Saturdays. This is a whole platform
Sure.
within itself. So I'm like, this is not a podcast. Because
Right,
you got
right.
different personalities. We got like 12 different personalities. So this is not a podcast.
Right.
You know, and we all are broadcasting from one central location. We not in Atlanta and then in Snellville and then in Mapleton and over you in College Park. It's like everybody comes here to the studio. We all record from here. We all on DKM radio. So why not position ourselves and say, okay, how can we leverage what we do, the talent that we have, and get it out to a broader mass? Because like with me, I know what I'm doing is effective. And the reason I know that it's effective is by the feedback that I get from the people that do tune in, right? So, you know, when I get an email or I get a text or somebody hits me on Facebook like, wow, that was a powerful show. I really learned a lot. I didn't know anything about X, Y, and Z. I didn't know interests affect affect people like that, whatever the topic is that we're sharing. So when I'm getting that feedback, and I go back, I always look at the analytics. I'm saying, well, if we get 1,100 views
Right.
for a given show, I'm like, what if we was hitting 1 million households?
Yes.
What if 1 million people were hearing the Daily Bread radio show? What if 1 million people were, actively getting their credit together? What if 1 million people was like buying into the fact that, hey, we can do these projects, but we need to pool our resources so you don't have to go and ask permission because you want to show a certain content or you want to, green light a certain show. And that's the kind of stuff that I look for. And I got excited about when I started researching Black on Purpose television, because I was like, I think your vision is like super big. And I think it's super big, and it's going to take, a lot of people like you were mentioning, content creators that are bringing their project to that platform. Because it's like, why are we going to keep going to somebody begging? It's like going to somebody's house and begging them to do business with you. And I'm like, I want to do business with people that want to do business with me.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, and there's a lot of people that speak positive things about our people, but they do it on a platform that's not ours.
Okay.
So in a sense, it's like hollering from the white boy's megaphone, standing on the white boy's soapbox in the white boy's room, and you're hollering about black issues,
Right.
and then you get upset when he shuts you down.
Right. Because you don't want to hear that. You're like, okay, that's
You follow what I'm saying? So,
Right.
when it comes to the film industry, there was a senator here in town that there was a little short conversation with a senator, and there was a meeting on diversity in the film industry. And during that conversation, he says, well, the film industry, he said, what are you guys talking about? We're talking about diversity in the film industry in this meeting. He said, well, that's a multi-billion-dollar industry here in Georgia, isn't it? And we said, yeah. He said, well, why should we do anything to change that? Now that's real.
Ooh.
All right? So we're now in a culture that is bold. You follow what I'm saying? It's bold. So when we do things, we have to ask the question, we keep thinking that he's supposed to give us something,
Right.
right? I come from a long background in the film and television industry. My credentials are solid, they're good, they're impeccable, right? But I'm done with it. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
When things are shown on TV and you don't like what was said or the image that was shown, and the company says to you, oh, we're sorry for being insensitive, we made a mistake, that's garbage.
Right.
They knew absolutely what they were doing.
Exactly.
You follow what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So when you think that they did something and it was just somebody there dropped the ball, they didn't drop the ball.
Right.
The ball rolled exactly the way they rolled it because they understand from long ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
How the media, how the things that they put out, whether it be a film, television, commercial, advertisement, how it can affect people's minds.
Right.
That's why our kids are picking the white doll over the black doll when they're doing studies.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
And they're picking that doll because the images show that. That is why BET gets bought out. That is why Telemundo gets bought out. Not because they're profitable or anything like that. Is if I buy it and I absorb it, I can control the message.
The content. Right.
You follow what I'm saying?
Yep.
And controlling the message is everything. Sometimes people think that there's this thing that the main concentration is money, right?
Mhm.
Money is not the main concentration. I've heard filmmakers and other content creators say, well, the thing that our white counterparts think about is money. Money's not first. Money's second. Keeping the image of themselves in the eye of the media and the public as being the most superior, the smartest, the brightest, and the most important is first. Then comes money. Because if I control your image, then I eventually control your mind, and I control your kids, and I control everybody else. And as long as I keep you in hope mode, like a change is soon gonna come, and we can sing we shall overcome.
Right.
Meanwhile, we're singing, and they're making deals in the back room.
Right. Right. That's like the miseducation of the Negro, right? So it's all about, I mean, in the way that what you just described, it's all about, their number one thing is conditioning, right? And that's what, you know, that book talked about, was that if you can control a person's mind, even if something is not there, they'll create it, right? So these images and the shows and the things that we're watching, because we are the number one consumer of pretty much everything. I can't think of any industry where we're not like the top consumer. Like, we buying cars, we buying cell phones, we buying clothes, jewelry, all these other things. And that's, you know, one of my pet peeves is that people who put on the content, like you said, when they control what's going on in the content, a friend of mine that sells ads for radio stations, and me and him was having a candid conversation one day, and he just flat out told me, he was like, look, he said, if you want to know what people think about the listeners on a given radio station, you listen to the commercials. He said, the next time you turn on the radio, he said, just listen to don't listen to what personality is on, don't listen to the music that they're playing. He said, I want you to just sit down and take note of the type of commercials that are being played. Because he said the type of commercials that are being played lets you know the type of companies that are investing dollars in that market for those listeners. So I was like, okay. So I started listening for specifically, like, let me listen to these commercials. And, like, you know, the top urban stations in Atlanta, when you listen, it's nothing for you to hear, you know, a show about somebody talking about bail bondsman, rent a wheel,
Right.
The party gonna be at the compound,
Right.
and all that. But when you turn the dial, if I go down a couple of, you know, stations, and then I hear our counterpart stations, they're talking about investments, they're talking about real estate, they're talking about, you know, things that's gonna, you know, creating businesses, come to the seminar, learn how to, you know, buy houses and sell houses. And I'm like, that don't, you know, so I was like, that, to your point, I see the same thing on television, right? So I'm like, if you got a group of people, and that's really one of the basis of me starting this show. The way this started a year ago was, I kind of got to a point where I was thinking, I said, you know what? I'm kind of at my wit's end of going to church and listening to different sermons about different topics, which we got to get, because I mean, God is one. I mean, unquestionably. So I ain't even question that. My issue is this: you have a captive group of people every Sunday, years and months on end, and we're talking about all these different things. And I get it. It's the number one thing is it should be about is salvation.
Yes.
Right. So I get. I'm like, okay, we all need to be tuned into that, but not but as in or, but and if you have these people and you have a captive audience, why aren't you looking to make sure that you're also taking some time out to talk about things that are important in our community, like personal finance? Because every time that I hear a sermon in church and somebody if the minister mentions anything about, you know what? Only thing you got to say, and I've been in a lot of different churches, a lot of different cities, all over the country. The only thing they got to say, the key word is, you know what? I saw, or I found, or I think, or this is what's going to happen in 2018. It's time for a financial breakthrough. Now, when they say that, everybody goes crazy, right? Everybody, because it goes back to the word that you was using, which is hope, right? So we all hoping that this is the year when everything is going to turn around for me.
Right,
this is the year when I get to, get all of this debt off of me. This is the year when things going to go my way. But then when you leave the church and you get in the parking lot and you get home, you don't have no tool.
The church is interested, the church is a business that's interested in growing itself. So a church will have a senior center that belongs to the church. The church will have senior citizens' homes, a daycare center. They'll invest in real estate. They will do all that. But really, the members themselves, there should be opportunities for the members.
Right.
So if I'm a member of a church and I say, or a sister says, I want to start a daycare center, the church should back that daycare center because it's about the growth of the community. If it means one more business in the community,
Right.
financed by the church,
Right.
right? That's supported by the church now, or if the church buys land, right? Sell the land to the members because now they're tithing into that and they own something.
Okay. We got a call on air. This is Joaquin with the Daily Bread Radio Show. What's your name and where you calling from?
Sonny.
Say that again.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good, and yourself?
I'm doing just fine, just calling in.
Okay. What's your name and where you calling from?
This is Michael Anson, Attorney Michael Anson. I'm calling in from Houston, Texas.
Oh, okay. Great to have you, Michael. Welcome to the Daily Bread Radio Show. You're on with Joaquin. I'm the host of the show, and we have a special guest on tonight with us, Mr. Michael Campbell. He's the CEO and president of Black On Purpose Television. So what's your question or comment for us today?
Well, I wanted to know what did he think that the state of black entertainment, as far as how Black Panther is coming out now, and how it's going to have a bearing effect on our society as a whole.
I personally think that Black Panther is a Marvel comic book. The original character of the Black Panther was never black. It is a way for media, for Jewish-owned Marvel Corporation to exploit us with a partially true and partially false story of who we are, using the fact that the character is a Black Panther, quote unquote. I don't think it's going to do anything in terms of elevating us, getting us any farther in this industry, because ultimately everybody that was on that movie has been paid, they've cashed their checks, it's over for them, and the real money is being made at that box office, of which we get very little, if any, because we don't own any theaters to speak of, we don't have any source of distribution for people to go watch these films. And so I'm not really impressed. I'm like the corporate guy who was tired of corporate life. I lived that life working for the different companies I worked for, and I got fed up. I got fed up with sitting at these corporate board meetings, and all I hear is a bunch of rah-rah, but it's really nothing serious as it pertains to elevating us. So, in my opinion, I'm not impressed at all. I'm not going to any Black Panther parties unless it's the one that have their fists up in the air saying Black Power. And those are the only Black Panthers I really have any respect for.
Wow.
Well, let me ask you this then. What measures or methods would you suggest and or advise to elevate the people?
Okay. Television networks like Black on Purpose Television that I formed create an environment that we have 16 channels, and we're getting ready to expand to 24. So there's a kids channel, a sports channel, a health and wellness, a news channel. The amount of good things that we do as Black people never make the news. The amount of missing Black people never make the news. A lot of things get swept under the rug that really happen to our community. And there's great things that never ever get talked about. Sometimes you'll see a little something on a feed on YouTube or maybe on Facebook or something, but other than that, it goes under the rug. We're just learning about the sisters that were involved with NASA. You follow what I'm saying? Millions of people didn't even know anything about that.
Right.
About the father of the cell phone. We didn't know anything about that. There's many things that we accomplished that, to them, it's not really a big deal. Nielsen, who's considered the god of all ratings, did a study that said Black people watch more TV than anybody else, and it went on to say that we buy more things off TV than anybody else. So if you use that as a measuring stick, then you'll say, well, gee, an advertiser should say, let me make my commercials that reflect the people that buy more and the people that watch more. That's just great business sense, right? I'm going to make my commercials to appeal to the people that watch more and buy more. But instead, they don't do that. They continue to put their images out there to sell you something because it's important to keep their images out there no matter what. So I think the real thing is us supporting each other. And with me starting the network, it's been difficult at times for me to find investors. We're in Atlanta, a city of Black millionaires, right? But to get an investor to come and invest in something that not just does a benefit for people, but also makes money. So making money is the result for us of doing a good thing. So in other words, you do things to help people, to grow community, to get the message out, to train, to employ, and as a result of your good work, oh, by the way, we're making a lot of money, but not the other way around. I can never be.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
I can never become NBC if people don't stop and we start supporting each other.
That's what we say, that's the crux of the matter, right? So it's just like, like this brother calling in, Michael, did you say you was an attorney?
Yeah.
Okay, so think about this. And this is the way that I think about this, to piggyback on what Michael is saying. If you're an attorney and you have a specialty in a certain area, and I'm an African American, right? If I have a need, and that's what I see in the other cultures, if there's a need and somebody within my community has that skill set, we should be doing that. It don't have nothing to do with but we'll shoot it down and say, well, Michael's an attorney and Joe Gibbs is an attorney. We sit there and contemplate going back and forth. I'm like, bro, we should be doing that on the strength. Because other communities do it, they don't even ask. They just do it. And that's what we're missing out.
One of the hardest things that I have truly experienced as a practicing attorney, I've done criminal defense work, I've done prosecutor work, I've done civil work, black mothers and families just crying and boo-hooing their eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
When they put their trust into a white lawyer or a Jewish lawyer,
Mm-hmm.
and thinking that because the mindset is that maybe he knows the judge, maybe he can get something done. Well, in small counties, yes, that happens a lot, okay, without a doubt. But in larger metropolitan cities, it's kind of slim.
Right.
It's kind of slim to none. And, you know, these lawyers, they go out there and, you know, just for just sell marijuana case, you know, charge you $2,000-3,000.
Sure.
When it's really not worth that. You know, it's really $50.
Right.
But they will go out there and they figure because they paid so much money or this guy's charging them so much money, he must know something.
Right.
Well, he doesn't know anything more than the next person.
Through one of
But they will go out there and I see that, I think that our fight is more of an ideological fight.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You're fighting an ideology from a nation of people who think that they are superior.
Yes.
And you know, quite frankly, I think that my nation and race of people is more superior.
Right.
So you know, in that respect, we all are some form of a racist. But I do think that we as a nation of Negro people have more empathy or sympathy for the plights of other people than they have of ours.
Oh,
Oh, no doubt.
You know,
Absolutely.
No doubt.
You know, there's, you know, like now I see, you know, you see where all of these people and all these white women are jumping on the Me Too movement. When we all know that they was with it at the time it was going on.
Right.
But
Right.
now they see a chance to, you know, to scream out something. Not saying that that's all of them, but there are quite a few of them. But they lynched Bill Cosby. I mean, they literally tried to lynch him.
Yes.
But, you know, and they see the evidence and the facts when it comes to police brutality and how minorities are being affected and being treated in this country. They don't jump on that bandwagon, but they very quick to jump on something that's a mere allegation when you have explicit facts of how a group of people is being targeted.
Well, one of the
You
things
know, so
one of the things that I wanted to do was, you know how regular TV has Susie Orman that talks about finance. They have somebody else that talks about law or talks about whatever. At Black on Purpose Television, I want us to have our own experts. So be sure to reach out to me, counselor, right? Because, you know, we need our own voices. So please contact me, right? Because we need people that are going to talk about black finance, right? About black legal matters, about the things that are important to us, and begin to build their brand. So if there's a finance person, right, and she knows about what's
That's
going on, right?
Go on,
You feel me? So what happens is, so what happens is we begin to then, in conjunction with the TV network, they become like the Dr. Oz, the Dr. Phil, the Susie Orman. Now we can do seminars across the country. We can go to historically black colleges.
Right.
We can go around with the TV network and set up just like we got here and show up anywhere and pop it off just like that. I mean, we can do it, and it's not difficult at all.
And that's my thing, because I'm like, Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman, okay, but you don't understand where we come from and how we do it. And the criticize, and the thing, and here's the other thing that I really don't like, since we kind of segued into those individuals. It's one thing for you to be an expert, right? Which is cool, because you, like, you know, Michael, you're an expert in film and television, and Michael is an expert in legal affairs. But when you get to the point where you get so comfortable that you can treat a person any kind of way, say any kind of thing to them. Well, if you do that, I done heard, like with my daughter, I mean, I have a personal finance background, I do different stuff. My daughter was still trying to listen to, I heard a show, from Dave Ramsey, whatever, but she was so offended because he would say things like, if you do that, if you buy such and such, that's just you being stupid. But my thing is like this. Sometimes people don't understand that we have to do certain things to survive.
Right.
It's not that I want to go in debt. It's not that I want to go and put myself at risk. But sometimes I may be in a position where it's just me. I have children to feed. I have things to do. I know I don't want to be running up my credit card. But at the same time, I'm not going to allow myself not to be put out.
You are so
Right.
you are so correct. Because I have to tell people all the time, whether you want to, and I try and do it as sombersome as possible, and I call it the come to Jesus moment, because it's all a gamble.
Right.
Okay, it's a straight gamble. Like you say, they don't understand what our life is like. You don't understand. You're absolutely correct. Here's something out here that is stupid to buy. It's quite dumb.
Right.
But I got to. I need this because
Yep.
it's something where I'm lacking, and this is giving me that specific thing that I'm looking for.
Right. And the thing with us is we, and not the country I'm like, but the thing that I always try to impress upon people is this. It's like being in a prize fight, right? You may lose a few rounds, or you may be in a battle, but it ain't about the battle, it's about the war. So what you got, and that's why I started doing this show, so you could call up here. We got people that's struggling with personal finance to the point where they don't want to talk about it, the family don't want to talk about it, something happened to a loved one. We don't have no money to, not to bury them, we don't even have no money to get to the funeral. We don't have, but we don't want to talk about that. And I'm like, man, come on here, let's talk about, yeah, we had a bankruptcy. Yeah, we had a repo. Yeah, we had a tax lien. So what? I mean, so what? You just, you did it, you went through it, you learned, and then you move forward. So, I mean, and as a people, the stuff that we see on TV, the stuff that we hear, I was talking to, my mother-in-law today. My mother-in-law is 82 years old. And we was talking about personal finances. She was telling me something that somebody had shared with her, and I was like, that don't make sense. I said, where'd you get that from? Oh, that's what they said. I'm like, forget they.
Right.
Forget they.
We know who they is.
Yeah.
Right. But the business model that I have for the network is, so we're buying this school building in Atlanta. So the business model is we take over school buildings in black communities across the country. The goal is the top 20 populous black cities across the country. We locate this property in the community. We then put in it another location for the television network. So just like you have NBC New York, NBC Chicago, NBC whatever, right?
Correct.
So we have one in each city, and in that building is the TV studio, a training center in media, arts, and technology, right? Mm-hmm. So media, camera operation, equipment operation, arts, putting musical instruments back into the hands of kids, right? Also, dance and theater. And technology, building apps. You follow what I'm saying? Coding, right?
Right.
And then the final thing that we do in this facility is we rent out office space and also co-working space so that businesses can come in. So we come in almost like an anchor tenant in a big mall. Mm-hmm. And we set up, and we're improving, just our presence begins to improve property values in the community.
Okay.
And then we start buying other houses and things around the community in order to stop the gentrification and preserve black neighborhoods, right? Which is important. So if you think about it, if we have one in Atlanta, one in Dallas, one in, you follow what I'm saying? Almost every major city has an empty, abandoned school building in a black community without question.
Correct.
Right? So we take these things that once served the black community, but because we bought into integration,
right, that's true.
now
that's
the school is not being used in a positive way. and it's dangerous because you don't know what may be going on in the building, with safety issues, but now we can turn communities around. And as a speaker, and yourself even, Michael, so you have a situation where you're doing a seminar on law, on finance, and now we're at Bach TV Atlanta, and the tour goes to Bach TV Detroit, Bach TV in Washington, D.C. Do you follow what I'm saying? And we're creating our own venues, and now we can screen movies, we can give information, and it's done. We're covering everywhere.
Man, that's exciting, Mike. And the thing about it is, I guess, because I know we kind of getting bumped up against stuff. The listening audience that we have tonight and the people that are going to go back and listen to the broadcast, what steps do you need for us to take? Because I like what you're saying. Like I said, I looked at the videos, I've heard your feedback and your vision, but just being fully transparent, what do you need from us to help move it forward?
I need money. I need connections and expertise by people. Of course, money helps me to move things forward, but I also need those same people. Don't just drop your money and take off. Drop your money and help me. Drop your money and say, hey, Mike, look, I want to introduce you to this person. Mike, look, I want to fly you down. I want to have you speak somewhere. You follow what I'm saying? Help me to grow it so that we're all growing together. This is potentially a $500,000 a month revenue business, but it does it by helping people. Money is the byproduct from what we do. So visit Black on Purpose TV. The email address is blackonpurposetv@gmail.com, and by phone 678-653-3225. 678-653-3225. Black on Purpose Television. Because together we can grow this. I got on, and we have in Atlanta a lot of people with money, but we also have a lot of fakes in Atlanta.
No doubt.
So as I was on the phone talking with potential investors, right? Mm-hmm. They were talking millions and millions of dollars. And I said to them, does anybody on this conference call have $10,000? Y'all are talking millions. Does anybody have 10 grand? Nobody said. I'm just giving it real. We talk. Does anybody have 10 grand? Right? Nobody said a word. I said, I gotta go. I gotta go.
Oh my God.
I got a vision to build.
Well, that's primarily what I do. I gotta find out where the money is.
Right.
But if it ain't no money on the table, it don't make no sense to me sitting around.
No, and the thing about that is this. I'm laughing, and at the same time I'm crying, mm-hmm. right? Because my thing is this. This is the way I look at it. If we go back and take inventory, right, of the money that we do have coming through our hands, right? Because a lot of times, to your point, Michael, people saying, well, you on with people that saying they got millions of dollars, you ask for 10,000, and nobody says anything, right? So if you come down a level, you got a lot of people that, say, well, hey, I can do this, I can do that, I'm driving good, I'm living good, whatever. But then if you say, hey, do you have $1,000
mm-hmm.
to put towards a certain cause?
Right.
$1,000, that ain't,
right.
It's hard to get that, and I struggle with that because I'm saying, a man, I can't speak about women, but I'm saying just as a man.
Mm-hmm.
As a man, you should be able to put your hands on $1,000.
Right.
Right? And if you can't put your hands on $1,000, then we should be working towards being able to put our hands on it. And I've been there. So like I said, I'm definitely not the one to speak because I know, when the sheriff was at the door, I done had to, I get that. But even when I was there, I was still like, bro, I got to get my hands because it's no way, just having this conversation, right? It's no way for me to help Black on Purpose TV if I can't help myself?
Right.
So I mean, my whole thing is for this show is like to grow more people where I could take care of myself, my immediate, and then I got $1,000 or I got $10,000 to put on Black on Purpose TV and get more people thinking along those lines and not just keep saying, okay, well, we got the celebrities and this person. Because I think in fairness to a celebrity, like a, Jay-Z, Puffy, or, whomever that may have the means,
Right.
I think we got to stop leaning on them too because we got 50 million people in our race.
But I want to create new celebrities.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? Morris Chestnut is cool, but if I see him in another movie again, I'm a scream.
No,
Because
not Morris
it's not-
Chestnut.
it's not-
Samuel Jackson.
You get what I'm saying, but yeah, but you
If
know
you see
what?
Samuel Jackson in another movie, I'm like, man, God,
But you know
no.
what? He played that Django on that Django. I can't front on the man. The man is genius. He was genius on it.
Who is that?
Yes, exactly. He played that to the T. That should have been
Oh, my
that
God.
should have been
An
an
Oscar, right?
Absolutely. But
Black
He
Oscar.
should have got an Oscar for that one.
yes, absolutely. So, I'm saying that I want to create the next stars.
Yes.
The next, when we talk about the Susie Orman and, like for you, counselor, we need a person that's talking about law
Yes.
to our community. Now, so what happens is this. The community gets information. The attorney or the financial expert or whoever gets more business.
Right.
So they grow their brand. The TV network gets more viewers. It grows its brand. Everybody is winning.
Ooh.
And all the businesses that advertise are black businesses. So you're watching a black show with black people talking about black issues. A black commercial comes on. You buy from them, and our circle is complete.
Man, you talking about Nirvana.
And so what happens
Man.
is, from a viewer's standpoint, you stay in the mode of black. And so without you realizing it, you are being deprogrammed. Without you realizing it. Just like we're programmed without realizing it, we're deprogrammed. So as we watch it and the entire environment is black, think about what that does to our kids, to our little kid that's sitting there.
My grandson.
You get what I'm saying?
My granddaughter.
Without realizing it, and they just all day, they're seeing them.
Man.
Now, when you switch to the other channel, they're going to say, what is that?
What's that?
That's
we don't do that.
Right, that's too much of that, right?
Wow.
So we have to, it's a powerful, powerful thing that can create the next Black Wall Street. We had them.
Yes.
We could have it again. All
No
it
doubt.
takes is us to begin the process of building.
And just, and on that note, just really, I think it starts, like you said, you called it deconditioning, and that's one of the things I've been thinking about recently. We have to really reverse the brainwashing, because we've been brainwashed, right? We've been brainwashed about education. I talked about that on the show, maybe like 4 or 5.
About who you are.
I'm saying that,
Yes.
yeah, and just I use the example of this because we was talking about education. So we still, I'm cool. I get it. Ivy League is Ivy League. I get it. But the thing that people don't understand is this. In Atlanta, if you go back to 1972, from 1972, just Atlanta, just the city of Atlanta, from 1972 to the present day, there's only been one mayor of this city that did not attend a historical black college. From 1972 to now. And Atlanta is a premier city in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
But they downplay it like, well, I'm like, I get Harvard and Yale, but guess what? Our best is better than anything. Our best is better than anything. I don't care what field if you want to go into the sciences, if you want to go into the arts, if you want to go into the business world, because we've always been able to do 10 times more with less. So people, they're impressed because you got a Harvard MBA and you come out and you start a software company. You're supposed to do that.
Right.
That's different than when you go to Morehouse or Howard or FAM and we trying to I don't even know if I'm gonna get no food tonight.
Right.
Right? Because my mom ain't got no money to send no, so I might have to go to the cafe and steal some food.
I used to
In college.
I used to help clean up to get the extra.
Bruh, I wasn't even on the meal plan and would walk in there because my mindset was like, there's no way you're gonna throw away all this food and leave me hungry.
Right.
And I know I was wrong.
Sure.
But I'm at a historical black college with my colleague, they at Georgetown.
Yes.
So if you come out with all the resources, you just doing what you're supposed to do. So I'm like, I mean, for me, I think we just have to, like you said, deprogram ourselves, number one, or de-brainwash ourselves, and get back to saying, look, if a brother or a sister has a business, service, or product that we, especially if we're already using it, why wouldn't you choose to support a black business? And stop with all of that. I just came from a hair show. I went to the hair show, Bronner Brothers. You see all these people, all these Asian people, they just coming to the table just to eat off of us. And I'm like, no, this all should be our food.
If we went to, and you could name
Man, if we went to
as
Chinatown, they wouldn't even touch us.
if we went to any Asian hair place, any Chinese restaurant and said, listen, the Little League in this community needs new T-shirts. They are not going to give you the money for those
They're
T-shirts.
going to call the police.
When they make those deposits, they make it in their bank,
Yes.
right? It's weird because it's okay for them to have, they have Asian banks, Asian food, Asian all that, but when we want to do it, it's a problem. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a there's probably 50 Asian channels, television channels, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's no problem. In I think somewhere here in Atlanta area, might be in Norcross, they have an area called Koreatown.
Yeah.
And they have a huge sign, half the block wide, Koreatown.
Yeah.
If we put a sign up that said Blacktown, oh my gosh, it would be on the news, it would be a problem. And if you said, but you got Koreatown, then they'd say, well, yeah, but that's not right. That you follow what I'm saying?
Man.
Because think about this. There's a lot of effort being used to keep the necks on a group of people. Think about all the effort that's used to stop us in so many different ways. In access to capital, in housing, in healthcare. Think about, they don't put that much effort toward anybody else but us. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
You don't stop a group of people with that much energy unless there's something really special that they know that we don't even know about ourselves. When I go to Atlanta Airport, I see the magic of black folks running an airport. When I see that, every shop, just about black, 99% of all, everything, everybody working in there, we run the biggest airport in the world, period, the busiest airport, right? But they're trying to change that because the state is trying to take over the airport.
Yeah. Well, I think we've, every time that we really get, I guess I would say warming up, we run out of time. But, in closing, Michael, what do you want to leave us with? What do you need for, we talked about things that we need to do, and how can we get involved? Because I know for me, when I read, the first thing I read when I was reading about Black on Purpose TV is like, I'm ready to come over and do some, pilot shows and see what I can, get into, because I'm on purpose.
Yeah.
Like this is me. I can do this. We can go on and keep going till like in the morning. We can let the producer go home, because I can do this all night with no problem. So, definitely want to thank you, Michael, for calling in from Houston. Make sure that you
guys taking the time and let me participate.
Hey man, stay connected with us. Go out to the Daily Bread Radio Show if you're on Facebook and like the page. We here every Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. You can call in with any questions, any concerns, anything, and we'll be right here. And we appreciate the support.
Shoot your information over too. Love to talk to you.
All right. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you later.
All right, thank you, Mike. And And Michael, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to come in and just share the vision with us. And I want to give you an open invitation. Anytime that you want to come on the show, I mean, you know how to, we both have each other's information, and we could talk about some more off air, but this is the kind of stuff that we need to stay connected with, keep the synergy going, because if we don't do that, then 10 years from now, we'll still be talking about what we could have done.
Yes.
Right? Because when you look back 10 years, you can't do nothing about what happened 10 years ago, but going forward, you know, let's just, you know, what I call interrogate the universe. I mean, we all say we got faith, we all believe. So now it's like you said, let's decondition ourselves, let's stop the brainwashing, and let's start just taking some active steps into doing some things that we know is possible and not just play with it.
That's right.
Oh, we got a caller? Hold on, Michael. This is Joaquin with the Daily Bread Radio Show. Caller, you on the air? Hello?
Mr. Rick, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. What's your name and where you calling from?
Calling from Atlanta. My name is Rick Hooks.
Okay. Okay, Rick. And do you have a question or a comment?
I'm just checking on it. I just want to call this number. I don't know.
we appreciate you calling in. We kind of wrapping up our show right now. This is the Daily Bread Radio Show. This is a show about personal finance. We do it every Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. And you're welcome to call back in next Thursday because we're going to be celebrating 1 year on the air. So definitely call back in and let us know if you have a question or concern about something. And we would love to just have you, you know, to be a part of the show.
Okay, good deal.
All right. Thank you, brother. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
And I'm going to let you have the last word, Mike.
So again, please visit blackonpurposetv.com. Email blackonpurposetv@gmail.com. And by phone, 678-653-3225. Let's make the conversation turn into some real work. Let's get down to business and let's grow us together in a cooperative way. One quick thing I want to say.
Sure.
Africa has become the #2 movie maker in the world now. In the entire world. Now, think about this. They have less resources than we have, less access to equipment, less access to everything, but they work off of a very simple principle. You got a camera, you got mics, I got lights, somebody else got a script, let's make a movie. They take what they have and they make it work, right? How is it that they become the #2 movie maker in the world and we're right here in the States with access to everything? The stuff that's ours, the stuff we could get from Mr. Charlie, we got everything. You follow what I'm saying? But then they become the #2, and not that they shouldn't, but I'm just saying it's an example of what we can do through cooperation.
And you answered your own question right there. Because we got the mics, you got the TV, you got the expertise. That's why I said let's just shoot a pilot. I'm game. We get some more people this game. And if you have to spend a little money, spend a little money.
That's right.
Because I always tell people, you spend $100 a month on cable, you spend $100 a month, at least $100 a month on a cell bill. So in 12 months, you just spent $1,200, and in 10 years, you just spent $12,000.
Invest in yourself.
That's it.
And don't undercut the black business. If it's a black business, pay the man what the fee is. It's not a bargaining. You don't want to hook up? Listen.
You don't want to hook up?
You know what? We don't go in and ask Mr. Charlie for the hookup. If the man say, listen, if Mr. Charlie say it's $20, we reaching out, exactly, we're reaching for the $20. If we say $20, yo, could I get it for 12? Yo, man.
Hey, I gotta stop, man. Y'all don't win in overtime, but that's one of our sayings on the Daily Bread Radio Show from Les Brown, and Les Brown said it best. He said that we buy what we want, and we beg for what we need. And that's just the truth, right? So when people, like you said, they didn't have 10,000, they say they got 1 million, bro, get 10,000 liquid, have it set aside somewhere. So if you're not investing in a TV show, be invested in your legacy. Be invested into your kids' dream, you know, your grandkids' dream. And let's just start having that type of dialogue and stop playing with this stuff. Because it's serious. You know, they invested in theirs. So the conversations that we should be having is getting collaborative and seeing how we can work together to do some, and to be a bigger blessing.
That's right.
Because you can't be a blessing to nobody unless you know, create some things in order for you to be a blessing. And all blessings are going to come through man. God ain't going to just drop something down and be like, boom, there you go. It's going to come through us collaborating with each other, people supporting the show. You know, like my cousin, he traveled all over the place. This man had been in Atlanta 2 weeks. In the 2 weeks that he been in, that he came to see the show, he done had 3 people to call in. Right. So it's like, he ain't even say what the show is. Last week, the young lady called in. She said, hey, I'm calling on a conference call. I'm like, Rick just called in. But I'm saying that to say, this is him being unselfish about helping. Right. And that's all we got. We just got to get unselfish about helping. So definitely want to thank you for coming on. And like I said, we're going to have you on again. I'm ready to start my TV career. I think I'm in practice. I've been practicing for a year. You know, so and if you know a good producer, Mike, call me, man, because I don't. This gentleman right here, I think 2018, I'm gonna do something with my producer. So if you know a good producer, you reach out to me, and let me know what we can do with this brother over here. But you know, we're gonna do some big things this year, and I appreciate you for coming on. Audience, I appreciate you all hanging out with us, and I know we went over a little bit. Next week, hey, and we can't go without having a book of the week. So the book of the week for Black History Month is this book right here. This is one of the most prominent books in the U.S. And the reason I say that, because I'm the author. I wrote this book in 2007, and this is a lifetime book, and this book is about personal finance. And I guarantee you, if you read this book, you can just flip through it. If you read this book, you are going to learn something. You may not learn everything, but I guarantee you, if you read this book, you're going to learn something. So we're highlighting this book. It's Black History Month by a black author for black people. So that's our book of the week. Next week, we're going to be celebrating 1 year Daily Bread Radio Show. Me, Raheem, Mike, Cornbread, whoever want to come join us in the studio, want to call in, next week is going to be out of control. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance. Because next week is going to be bananas. So make sure that y'all tune in, share the word. I'll be talking about it all week. We're going to have the bros calling in. We're going to be calling in from where? Duval. So we're going to be in there next week. So next week, make sure you tune in.
All right.
You can call and give us a shout out, and we're going to keep the dialogue going. I appreciate you, brother.
Thank you.
And see, I already got my music and everything. I'm ready, man. Oh, man. Hey, y'all, hey, thank you, Mike. You're doing this thing. We're gonna be on Bop TV. I don't know about the produce, but I'm gonna be on there. Cornbread, you gonna be on there?
Oh, he's down. Believe me, he's down. He's down.
Oh, we got it, man. We taking applications. Y'all call us at the studio 678-381-1973. Oh, we going, bro. Roo to roo.